So you might have seen this photo I uploaded on my Instagram a couple of months back, right? So basically it's a photo where the GoPro is levitating from my hand.
Woke up really discombobulated in the middle of the night. Was it all some sort of bad dream? That's when I seen it in the sky. Picture perfect.
So that photo looks interesting, right? But you might think the photo is really hard to make. But to be honest, it's not really that hard. It's actually really easy and simple. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how you can able to shoot these kind of photos and also how you can able to edit it. Because editing also plays a main important role when making this kind of image. So let's start from the shooting process. So for shooting this, obviously the subject or the thing that is going to levitate is the GoPro, right? So generally if you want to make something levitate in the air, you have two options. Either you can put it on a string and you just take a picture of it and then remove the wire later in the post. Or you can just hold it and just remove your hand and take out the GoPro from the image separately. But if you wanted to use a thread, you also have to make sure the object that you wanted to make levitate is not so heavy and big. Because if it's so heavy, the thread just can't handle it, it's just gonna fall down. So for this image I went with the second option. Because even though the GoPro is small, it's really heavy. So the thread just can't handle it. So later in the video I will show you guys how I edit this entire image and remove my hand. So when you're shooting this kind of images, make sure you shoot two images importantly. The one maybe your hand is just in the frame to make the object levitating, and another one is the actual subject. Maybe if you choose the first method, then you can just hang your object in a thread and that could be the image. Or if you want to hold it like I did, then is that image. And another tip I would like to give you guys is to use a tripod. So when taking this image, I use a tripod and I also place the camera at the same place when shooting two types of images. I mean the two kind of images. By this you can make sure that there's no any difference when you editing and you won't have a lot of trouble later in the edit. So I think that's all in the shooting. Now let's get into the editing process. So as you can see over here, I have quite a number of images, right? I'm not gonna use all of them, but it's just that it's better to always shoot a little bit more photos than you actually need so that you have more flexible when you're editing. So right here I have actually rated some of the photos that I will use. So this is one of the shot, and I'm also deciding to use either one of this. I think most probably I will be using this one. So now let's bring it into Photoshop and let me show you guys how to edit these photos at there. So now as you guys can see over here, we have both of the images here in Photoshop. So first let me just turn off this layer so that we could able to see only this layer clearly. So the first thing I'm going to do is just probably make this image bigger and fit in into this image, I mean this dimension. So now I think once that's done, we could just move it to the place where we wanted our hands to be. And now let me just turn on this layer, and so far I think this looks pretty good, but I think we could able to also make it bigger and just place it where exactly the levitation of the GoPro have to be. And also another thing, when you guys are shooting this kind of photos, make sure your hand is not too much on the subject, otherwise it's going to be really hard for Photoshop or any other software you're using to remove the hands. So for this image I think it's not that bad, but so the first thing I'm going to do is just use the object selection tool in Photoshop to separate the GoPro from the original image. So sometimes it will do a pretty good job, but for this one I don't think so it actually did. As you guys can see over here, there's a little bit of space and it also used that. So for that I'm just going to press on Option key or an Alt key if you're using Windows to just deselect this particular part of the image or the selection. So now I think it's pretty good. So let me just zoom out and see the overall image. Okay, I don't think so it's that bad. So after that I just have to click on this tool and yeah, that's it. It's actually pretty bad when seeing from here. It's maybe because of the lighting. So we could able to fix it now. So as you can see over here, we also have a little bit of this not so good looking part on the image. So what we can do, we can just zoom in, just make it a lot more bigger so that it's very easy to see. And now I'm going to use the eraser tool and just erase the parts where we don't really think it's necessary. So I think so far it's actually looking so good, but it always don't have to be perfect, because when you're obviously uploading to Instagram, people could barely notice all of these little things. But I think it's better to also do it. So I think this is looking pretty good, but if you spend a little bit more time, you could get even more great of a result in terms of separating the object from the image. So with this one, I'm just gonna make it slightly more bigger and also just move it over here and just maybe rotate it as well. So I think I'm also going to bring it slightly down so that it makes even more sense. So yeah, this is looking pretty good. But as I said before, if you spend even more time separating the subject from the image, you could get even more of a better result. But another important thing when you're shooting this is lighting, so make sure the light doesn't change so much. So basically in the editing, you just have to remove the object from the original image and then just put it where you want it to be and merge both of the image together. So that's all in the editing process. So if you guys find this video useful, and maybe if you take a photo of something like this, just share it on your Instagram and also tag me so that I could also see the image. So I aim for this year's 1K subscribers, guys, so hope we can reach that milestone soon. So that's all from this video, guys. I'll be meeting you guys in the next video. Bye.
Killing time, you and I, hours, minutes, days and nights, trading all of our deadlines for conversations over wine.